Coming up, sexual double standards and how the media manipulates you. That's coming up with this edition of Depraved and Debaucherous. I'm King of Podcasts. Thanks for listening in and finding the show. Let's go and talk about it. Sexual double standards in the media help shape teens' expectations about men's and women's sexual behavior. So when teenagers are watching television or watching live streaming, whatever they're watching, if it's on the computer, phone, tablet, what have you, they're getting from the media how women and men are supposed to be sexually. They're getting this whole perception. They could be watching Netflix, some romantic comedy or some romantic show or whatever, or watching something on HBO Max or Apple TV Plus, whatever, Hulu. A Dutch study talked about teens' endorsement of sexual double standards influenced by their peers, parents, and the media, and it was found in the journal Archives of Sexual Behavior, and that teens who perceived more traditional sexual double standards in the media and among their peers endorsed more traditional sexual double standards. So what are we talking about? When different sexual behaviors are deemed appropriate for men and women. So the stereotypes that are out there that, that's just the way they are. Accepting how men and women act on television, that's real life. When it's make believe. Now, maybe some things might have some truth and may have some reality to them, but the truth is, think about it like this. When they always see guys are always fumbling and stupid and dumb, and the girls are always smart and, can always put a guy in their place. Things like that. While men are typically expected to be sexually dominant and active, women are expected to be sexually submissive and reactive. And these stereotypes lead to harmful scenarios, such as women being disparaged for sexual behaviors that are applauded in men. Yeah. That's one thing that's very true. Double standard of thinking that every woman has to be submissive and reactive. She has to be like the little housewife or traditional. No, it's not true. That it can always be roles reversed. And that can just be men and women, depending if they're same sex partners or opposite sex. Study author here and her colleagues points out that there are individual differences in the extent that people endorse these double standards. So she was looking at the sexual double standards of the Me Too movement in 2017 because it highlighted clear gender differences in sexual violence perpetration and victimization. And she wanted to study factors that explains why men are more often perpetrators of sexual transgression, while women are more often the victims. And the sexual double standard is one of, I know people are going to try to make this political. This is an apolitical show. I'm not talking about that. Take that conversation somewhere else. Thank you very much. The sexual double standard is one of such factors and refers to a social norm prescribing different sexual behaviors to men and women. That men are always the sexually active. We're the horny dogs, right? We're dominant, and we're the ones that want to have sex. We're the ones that try to have sex, and we're going to be that. Now, that could be some cases that might be something that has normally happened. But remember, what if a teenager is watching something that's a period piece? Could be something from medieval days, something out of Game of Thrones or whatever, or something out of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s that's, before their time. What if they're reading onto that and they're saying, what if they're watching Stranger Things and how guys and girls are reacting to themselves in relationships on that show, right? You can't realize that might be how it is in real life. And the Me Too movement and seeing the portrayal of things on TV, right? Where, as I'm recording this, we're in the middle of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I think, Johnny Depp's going to be this stereotype and Amber Heard is this stereotype. But at first, we heard the roles were reversed. And now we're hearing, they're both screwed up. Now, I have not seen the verdict yet because by the time you get to catch this episode, that trial will have concluded and we'll know who is culpable and who won the $50 million prize, right? The researchers talked to 566 young kids between the ages of 16 and 20 from 24 Dutch schools. And the results suggest that peers in the media were important influences on adolescents' expectations of male and female sexual behavior. So, guys and girls out there, you youngsters, you need to realize that don't take what you see on television. Television is not real. You can't. the magic box, or wherever you're watching on streaming, if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on wherever, whatever you're seeing visually, that might be, and even on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, whatever, you also want to realize that you see all this and you're saying to yourself, well, that's not real. You got to realize what's going on outside your front door. That's real life. And how men and women react to each other sexually, that's real life. That's the real thing, not what's on TV, and not what your parents or your peers might tell you, because they're going to have their own biases on what they're going to say, because they might want to just have it where they're trying to make sure that you are raised a certain way to follow a certain path. So there were questions about perceptions of sexual behavior assessed to their exposure to sexualization on social media, reality TV, music videos, and online porn. And so that's where they're finding out. And teens who perceive more traditional sexual double standards conveyed by the media and by peers endorse more traditional sexual double standards norms themselves. So the social norms, you need to see what's outside your door, in real life, outdoors, not what's inside and what you can just watch on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your TV, you can stream to, whatever. You can't take that into account. You got to actually see how people are actually responding and reacting in real life outside. That's what's going to happen. And I'm saying outside your door. I'm not talking about like you can go to the mall, you can go to a store and see how people react. That's what I'm saying. Adolescents with greater exposure to sexualized music videos by female artists also endorse more traditional sexual double standard norms. So that means if you're watching Cardi B's WAP or Sweetest Pie, right? Or I'm trying to think what other songs are out there. I can't think of right now. Or, I don't know, Doja Cat and SZA's Kiss Me More. I'm trying to think of other songs right now. I can't think about right now the videos. And then you just look at how everything looks, and just that whole mindset of like, yeah, I can see where that's in with music videos. It's not real life. It's not the way it's supposed to be. Appearance appeared to be less important socializers in adolescence, and that female appears to be highly sexually active was associated with less adherence to norms in adolescence. Now, they're trying to say that parents are not as persuasive. They're not as, they're not going to follow along with what they're going to be hearing from, especially with sex. They're going to probably not follow what their parents are going to say about sex or their peers, but the media will be a different story. Now, the study authors suggest that educating young people about the nuances of men's and women's sexual behavior may help dispel the unrealistic expectations portrayed by the media. Right. The topics like slut shaming, sexual coercion, sexual pressure. I mean, imagine if you're watching Euphoria and they see how things are going on that show. And by the way, that's not just men and women. We know that there's, same sex or transgender relationships on that show. And sexual behavior is not like Euphoria. Don't believe it. I mean, it's true. Pretty good example. But right now, in their research, they can't draw firm conclusions about cause and effect. But the media can alter the thought process of that things are the way they are. Sexual double standards are the way they are. So don't trust the media. I don't. About anything. Take what you're watching on Euphoria, or pick a movie, like pick any Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, or pick whatever you want that shows that sexual double standard they're talking about, and just think you're watching media for entertainment value. Reality shows, all of that, it's entertainment value. It's not real life. We'll have to remember that all this stuff is make-believe. And remember, reality shows, most importantly, are make-believe. They're scripted. Don't believe it. Keep that in mind. And most importantly, as I close things out, remember, not to judge, you can appreciate, but don't feel like you need to go and subscribe to how The media portrays everyone to be a little depraved and debaucherous.